I welcome all the esteemed panelists for this panel discussion organized by Brand Story. I welcome Mr. Mario Smith, the Managing Director of Lingle Windows and Doors Technology Private Limited. We welcome you, sir, for this panel discussion. We welcome Madam Mrs. Priyanka Bhargav for the panel discussion. We welcome Mrs. Tina Sabharwal for this panel discussion, along with Mr. Praveen Singh, sir. We welcome you for this discussion. My first question is to Mr. Mario Smith, the Managing Director of Lingle Windows and Doors Technology. The construction industry is showcasing a movement towards recovery, rather slowly, right? So how do you see the windows and doors tech industry respond to it and emerge stronger after the post-COVID impact? How did the industry perform? What was the impact on it? Or what are your plans? What are your ideas? How are you looking at it towards the...
Okay. Also for the economy or for the construction sector, when people were locked now for 1.5 years home, people have invested in the house because in any case no one could travel abroad. And for the windows, of course, it was, during the first lockdown, it was so silent. Even in the place where I'm staying, Gulgaon, I was sleeping on the balcony, which I have never done before, ever in 15 years of my time I'm staying here in India. But in the moment the movement came back, the noise came as a kind of a disturbance to everyone. And people thought, okay, let's make this or make the house brighter. So this is something, or people are moved out of rent, purchased own homes because knowing anything can happen in future, and as long as it's their own home, home is home. And this is a real, very good movement for the construction industry, pan-India, I would say. And therefore, the recovery was quite easy. Labor was, of course, a problem, but for us as a company, best workplace, my team there, thank you so much. We really did well so that we have avoided that many people are going home or whoever went home. We made also the tickets of got them back immediately so that the company could revamp. And even this year during the second lockdown, we made also clear, please don't go home. And myself, I also stayed in the country. I didn't went the way many foreigners did. They went back to Europe. I was staying here. I was leading my factory. I was there still every day to showcase, yes, we are here to stay, and leadership is needed, especially in those uncertain times. So, and therefore, someone has to be the anchor. And now, the moment it is open, again, the construction movement is there. We have another problem. We have a problem that the demand is more than the supply at the moment. And when we talk about 5 trillion economy, now we have to see now from the way, like the people who are providing the main raw material, who are making the mining, that this trillion doesn't go into an inflation. And this is where the country really has to find the answer. I can become 5 trillion, but at the same time, and everything is costing 3 times, like at the moment, anything has doubled in cost. This is some very sensitive point where the economy, the government, all together, all the stakeholders have to find really the answer that we're having a sustainable growth and we are really getting the inflation back to a manageable amount so that the growth actually comes to the people, comes to the citizens of India, and everyone can feel it, yes, it is better, and not with just the growth, everything went up in cost. This is at the moment the biggest challenge what we are all facing, and let's hope that shortly we are overcoming it.
Super. So I think that's a good news. The demand is more, but the supply is less. So that's a good news that the industry is growing, and that means there'll be lots of job opportunities, earning opportunities for people, labor, and the stakeholders. So I think that's a good news which you are trying to give us, that yes, we have demand, but we are not prepared for that speed. Thank you so much for that wonderful answer. My next question is to Madam Priyanka Bhargava. So what is your definition of stakeholders here, and what are their responsibilities? How can each stakeholder add value to the society? What initiatives have you taken during these turbulent times?
Okay, so lots of questions.
Yeah, lots of questions.
Okay, so we've been talking about mental health since the very start of the evening. I believe that stakeholders that we talk of, in my terminology, are the people who build the nation, who build the planet. So I would like to see the entire planet as an organization and every individual as a stakeholder. So now every individual, the way he's behaving or she's behaving, or the mental health we talk about, or the emotional health we talk about, it is contributing to the collective consciousness. So if you really want to, grow, say in terms of profit, then we need to take care of the emotional well-being also. Like Mr. Mario was saying that there's a huge need of, building up the houses, and people want to redo their houses. So why is it so important right now? Because people have realized one thing during the lockdowns, that family is very important. People who were grounded, people who had a strong family, who had a strong bond with their family, their spouses, they could, float. They could manage through these times. That is why, people are buying more plants. Basically, maybe they are refurbishing their houses, going more on holidays. So I think that is the key. Every pandemics, you can say, or कोई भी मुश्किल जब समय आता है, so I think हमको कुछ सिखाने के लिए आता है. So what was this pandemics trying to teach us? I think it was trying to teach us about empathy and compassion. It was trying to teach us about how can we strengthen our bonds. It's okay to have a lot of fan following on social media and stuff like that, but this pandemic actually taught us that who is living next door. Because suddenly there was nowhere we could go. There were lots of cases of, say, domestic violence or things like that, because couples realized that they were both working and they spent a limited time together. So where am I taking all this conversation to is, I'm coming to the point. I say that if we are aiming to build, say, X amount of economy, then we need to have strong, grounded individuals who can take it forward. Because if like the entire body is depending on a small cell, and if you say the small cell is a person, a stakeholder, so a stakeholder need to have a good state of mind to go and work in the office. That is how it's going to function. So that is where we come in, coming to your last question. During the pandemics, what I did, besides doing COVID healings, all sorts of clinical hypnotherapy sessions for my clients where we deal with stress, anxiety, and trauma and all that stuff. One thing that I felt was very important was we were missing human touch. So as a person, what I did was I connected with my clients whom I knew were staying alone, who did not have their parents or their siblings, they were alone. So, and even a video call with them would make them happy. It was like people were going into depression because of isolation. So that is how we have opened our doors to online meditations, so that we can connect with more people. So that is an initiative we have taken from our end. And one thing I want to take this stage as an opportunity to ask all of you and think about is that the universe was trying to teach us something through this pandemics. Are we learning it? Are we willing to listen to what universe is trying to tell us? Are we willing to create our happy place at our home and come back to the value systems, which are very important to hold us through any crisis? If we are willing to learn, then probably in future, we can build an economy, a healthy economy, where there would be profits, yes, but there will be happy people creating that profit for us.
Wonderful.
Thank you so much.
Superb, superb. Very well said, very well said. So when you were talking, I was looking at all our audiences and our friends, So I'm an educationist, I am a teacher, I teach MBA students. So बच्चे ध्यान दे रहे हैं कि नहीं हम देखते हैं, तो सब मुंडी हिला रहे थे, मतलब सब सुन रहे, ध्यान दे रहे, अच्छे बच्चे बैठे हैं क्लास में. Good, thank you so much for that response. So my next question is to Madam Tina Sabharwal. You belong to shipping industry, and it is very rare that you'll see a woman heading a shipping organization. And Tina is an entrepreneur from Mumbai, and she's heading Armstrong Safety, which supplies workwear for the shipping industry. So my question to you, madam, is what is the role of shipping industry in this $5 trillion economy? What do you feel? What are your studies or,
Good evening. Today I represent my shipping industry at this stage. When you talk about shipping, shipping is actually a global business. And when you talk about India becoming a 5 trillion economy, I think shipping industry has one of the major roles to play in the coming years. Considering that most of the vessels that have to sail to countries like United States of America or Europe or East Asia, they have to sail through Indian territorial waters. So I think Government of India and the Shipping Ministry has realized the importance of developing our ports. So consequently, they have introduced a lot of schemes like the Sabarmala schemes, where they're not only concentrating on the ports, but they're also getting a lot of FDI into the country. If in simple figures, I will say that till now we have managed to get foreign investment worth $1.65 billion, which is like huge.
Big, huge.
Also, I would like to add that today we have almost 12 major ports and almost 200 small ports all over India, which are going to benefit from global trade routes. So yes, shipping is coming up, and in a big way.
So what was the impact of COVID and how did you handle the tough times? Because I heard there were big problems at the port and many laborers all over, the shippies and the mariners, you know, the sailors were stuck at the port. So how did you handle this tough situation?
COVID-19, unfortunately, I think has been the worst nightmare for all of us. Just like any other industry, I think shipping industry also had its shares of ups and downs during last one and a half year. But despite these challenges, I think our seafarers have done a commendable job. They not only have kept the global supply chain intact, but they have also prevented the economic meltdown, where they have kept the trade of basic home commodities alive. And if I talk in figures again, especially for India alone, we have managed to carry exports worth 290 billion. Till February 2021, which is almost 680 million metric ton of cargo, which is again huge. So you can imagine then these seafarers, they have worked with such resilience in pandemic. If they can work like this in a pandemic, I think India's future is really bright as far as shipping industry is concerned.
That's a very positive news what you have given to us with those big, great figures. And I am sure that you all guys, in the shipping industry are putting your best foot forward to see how we as an economy, India, keep on growing to the greater heights.
Thank you so much.
Tina, madam, for that wonderful answer. My last question to our last panelist here is, we have Mr. Praveen Singh, Director, Heel Guru India, Private Limited. Sir, the question for you is, Heel Guru has been a trusted partner for many in getting quality treatment at an affordable price. In the recent time, the focus of medical fraternity has been to treat COVID-19. This was a point that treatment of other medical problems was affected, and even the patients for transplants were not given treatment, the emergency patients were neglected, many of them have lost lives, so they had to wait due to traveling restrictions. So do you think that medical tourism industry in India slated to advance economically in this time, with all these conditions around?
First of all, Nivedita, a long winding question, right?
Yes.
COVID was something which nobody anticipated. It came as a shock to everyone. But the positive outcome of it has been that as a nation, and not just as a nation, but as a world, but the entire world could see the way the healthcare sector and the professionals stood up to the challenge and served the patients. Yes, elective surgeries couldn't be done because the rush for treatment of COVID was so high. That got pushed. The second big thing which I would link to the topic of our discussion, which is India as a 5 trillion economy, is that medical tourism has a capability to contribute $9 billion per annum. Currently, we are at $2.5, $3 billion. The benefit of COVID has been that people have realized that one, India has the capability, and second, India has the expertise to offer high-end medical treatment to patients. So we also, besides the quality, our biggest benefit is the cost arbitrage. Something as simple as a knee replacement surgery, right? For both knees, we do it in India at the best of our hospitals, the A-grade FDA-approved hospitals, at a price which is as low as $9,000 US. Somebody in US wants to get a knee replacement done, he ends up paying $26,000 US. I offer quality, I offer end-to-end services, and the most important thing is there is no waiting, and our costs are almost 40% less than what is being offered either in Europe or US. So for my international patients, this is a huge welcome step, which is opening up of flights and opening up of borders. Unfortunately, last 2 years, because of COVID, there was a complete lockdown, no flights, and of course, no visas were given for medical treatment. But with the times to come, and we already have this huge backlog of patients who are now wanting to come over and get their treatments done, be it domestic patients or be it international patients. And we as an industry strongly believe that in this endeavor of reaching the 5 trillion magic figure mark, our industry would definitely contribute and play its role.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I think we, as country, we are doing extremely well, and each and every individual here on this nation, you know, on this part of the world, is giving the best. That is what, and I think medical tourism is booming in India, and I have seen lots of people traveling all over the world just to take treatment in India. So again, I think that's a good news what you have given to us, that we are committed and we can deliver what we have promised is what we are trying to say. So thank you so much to all the panel members. Thank you for being here and giving your valuable time and giving your valuable tips. Thank you to both the gorgeous ladies, one in white and one in black. Thank you so much.
What a combination. And one in
Beautiful
pink
combination.
also.
And pink also, yes. Thank you to all the beautiful, lovely audience.
Thank you for watching today's episode of India's Brand and Leadership Conclave. We will be back with yet another episode of Leading Brands and Leaders of the Nation. Until then, take care and stay tuned.